everybody, and welcome to another edition of AEWSpark, episode 10 now of this series I've been doing. Thank you for all that's been a part of it and following along as well. I'm just a simple man, and my name is Noah Foster, the host of AEWSpark, and as you know, this forum is by the fans, for the fans of all things, all elite wrestling. So with me tonight, please welcome for the first time ever, a very good-hearted gentleman. He is also a member of Team All Elite. It is my good friend here, Mr. Mike P Phillips. Mike, how are you this evening?
I'm doing good, thank you. I couldn't ask for a better introduction either, you know.
I try to keep it simple, but all fans of all elite wrestling are welcome on this forum, and that's what I want to encourage here. I want to encourage an open, unscripted, free forum for the fans to discuss all things all elite wrestling. So if y'all ever interested, like I said, all you need is Skype. Just message me, Mark, or Gary Joe. Be happy to have you part of the fun. Simple as that. You don't even need to be on camera because I know some people are camera shy. Just lend me your voice and your thoughts because that's what matters, your opinions. With that, let's go ahead and get into this week's episode. So, of course, as always, with AEWSpark, I like to first start off the forum by shedding some light on Dark. Once again, there was another short forum of AEWDark as we had two matches, a singles and a tags. But the story here of this Dark is basically who are you going to back up in the coming match tomorrow on AEWDynamite in the NoDQ, no count out tag team match between the best friends with Orange Cassidy versus the newly formed tandem of the, well, I guess you could say, best British mates of Kip Sabian and Jimmy Havoc with super bad girl Penelope Ford. So let's go ahead and briefly discuss these two matches because basically each team's got some momentum. While one half of one team got the win in his match, the other team literally fought together and got a quick win in their match. So it was, of course, I have to imagine all these independent wrestlers and support pro wrestling folks. These guys had to be training in the Nightmare Factory under QT Marshall, as it was slowly put, at least for the first one, where Sean Dean, he basically suffered. It wasn't as bad as I thought it would be, though. Havoc made it brief and quick, as he took an acid rainmaker and a fisherman DDT, and Havoc got the win over him. I thought it was a so interesting spot, though, where Havoc, you think he's like this rough, no BS type guy. I'm not good with anybody. But he does have that British charm to him, as there was a mutual handshake between the two, and then he just beat the hell out of him in the corner. So, yeah, there's not much more to say about that. But apparently Sean Dean has been training with QT Marshall in the Nightmare Factory, and I think he's been making progress because now this is not his first time he's been involved in AEW ring. It would not surprise me with all these independent showcases that some of these independent talents do get signed to an AEW contract. Anna Jay did. Your thoughts on Sean Dean?
I think he's got a lot of potential. You know, I like the whole captain gimmick and the Navy background and stuff. I think he he's got a long ways to go. You know, if you put on a little more muscle, I think that might help too. You know, here and there, and just as he develops, I think
I feel like that's still one of the biggest factors people have against AEW. You don't have enough big men because every wrestling forum, it seems, has to have a heavy roster of big super heavyweights to really define yourself, build a name for yourself, be taken seriously. But again, AEW change the world, change the universe, do something different. And a lot of these smaller guys are really putting in the work. And again, thir guys are young, hungry, in their early 20s or 30s, not even 5 years for some of these people in the wrestling business.
Oh, like Darby's one of my favorites. You know, like Darby Allin. He's not a big guy, but man, he kills it out there.
I mean, he is literally like probably one of the top 5 made wrestlers since AEW became in existence.
Yeah.
With that being said, let's talk about a couple of others because, again, the fact that these two have not exploded is still shocking to me because I swear that was going to happen under NJPW. And you all know NJPW is my number one. Anyway, it was, of course, the best friends without Orange Cassidy. I guess he was stuck in whatever. Versus Masa and Lee Johnson. And, of course, the best friends, they got the quick win here with their Strong Zero tag team combination. At one point, though, Trent, inside out, upside down, Lee Johnson with that freaking lariat. Jeez. I love the fact they're pushing.
The outside, too.
Yeah, and not to mention that spear. I love the fact they're pushing Trent so much, not only as a tag competitor, but as a singles competitor. In my opinion, he's benefiting the most from this best friends forum. If anything were to happen to this team, I feel like he would be the most safe. But again, they're the best friends. They prove it in and out of the ring. I'm sure Orange was very happy with the result, as the best friends got the win and are going in with momentum with the tag match tomorrow. And that was literally this week's Dark. before we go into Dynamite, and the way we're going to do things a little different, folks, as always. I like to evolve the forum. Any further thoughts you have on the Best Friends or the tandem that they faced for the first time, I believe they formed as a tag team?
Well, I thought Musa and Lee Johnson looked good. I think they got some potential too. It kind of reminded me of the Young Rock in a way, just because of the names. I guess I don't know why. There was I reminisced on the whole Nation of Domination thing way back when, and I see AEW bring a lot of things from the past, so you kind of never know where they're going. But it's interesting.
I mean, the thing is also with their graphics, they do have AEW records, so who knows? Maybe they are already signed. Maybe it's a face gun for the future. They surely have been heavily involved since this whole world crisis came to be, whether in or out of the ring, Audience, Dark, Dynamite, you name it. So, yeah,
I like the records too. I think it helps.
I mean, if nothing else, they're getting the names out there too. Again, some of these people, they've barely had any professional matches before this forum. I believe one guy literally had like 10 matches before he even appeared in an AEW ring, and look what's become of it.
Right.
I can't decide which independent wrestler at this point has benefited the most, because Chris Jericho has created Pineapple Pete. Now Suge D probably is hugely popular. And then you have, of course, Anna Jay, who officially is signed to All Elite Wrestling after her stellar performance with Hikaru Shida. So, I mean, there's definitely, we'll have to wait and see what happens. With that being said, though, let's go ahead and talk about Dynamite, because you talk about igniting things. It's amazing how much last week's Dynamite connects to this week's Dynamite. So what we're going to do is we're going to discuss all things All Elite Wrestling here for the Dynamites. As you know, this week's Dynamite matches are basically following up stories from last week. So they're kind of going to go hand in hand. So we're going to see how far this goes and go from there. So let's first talk about what's happening this week as far as what's been the story the entire time this crisis has been going on and at the heart of AEW. I'm not talking about Blood and Guts either, though that's in the background. This TNT Championship Tournament is being derived what seems to be one outcome, in my opinion. And I feel like at this point, it's got to be coming towards Lance Archer and Cody Rhodes. But, and shout out, by the way, to Jen Decker with the incredible backstory to how both these semifinal matches came to be when it came to Dustin Rhodes versus Lance and Cody versus Darby Allin. As you know, Mike, this is now Darby and Cody's third encounter. The first time was a 20-minute draw back at, what was it? Fighter Fest, I believe? No, it wasn't Fighter.
It was Fighter Fest.
Yeah, it was Fighter Fest because I get games.
Yeah.
That was such a long time ago. And then the second encounter was the very first this year singles match where Cody got the win with help of Arn Anderson. Knees, as he prevented the coffin drop. But in the road to Dynamite forum this week, I love those, by the way. Well done.
Yeah, I do too.
Some of the best productions by the Nightmare family. Again, AEW doing things right. Basically, in a sit-down interview with Tony Schiavone and Darby Allin, it came down to this. Darby says, and I quote, "If I get Cody one-on-one and get the coffin drop, which no one's kicked out of, he will win." And Cody, of course, who basically from a chair kind of like mine in a dark room, literally looking at 8 monitors, I wish I had that much, ran down everybody he potentially could be facing, because it seems like Cody feels like he needs to win this. There was a lot of subtle quotes to think about from Cody's words, as he really was not only assessing, but I feel like soul searching. So who am I? I wonder during these pressing times, has my sword been sharpened or have I not answered the call? Where do I fit into all this? It really can't be future endeavors until you actually intend to endeavor. So am I the 3-star general mid-card for life? Broke the throne because I was afraid to sit in it. You hear something enough times that starts to get comfortable, like old leather. Am I comfortable? Am I scattered in my role? Am I going to meet one of these men in the semifinals? I need to answer these calls. All these men could be champion. There's plenty of will in this tournament. Now we find out who has enough of it. So in the end, this tournament is being defined by one word when it comes to all 4 of these men. Will. You have Cody, who I feel like has the strongest will, in his opinion. You have Darby, who has unlimited will. You have Dustin, who feels like he's fine with the last of his will. And you have Lance Archer, who has the willingness to do anything possible to not only destroy his opponent, but get to Cody. As Jake the Snake subtly put, you should just walk away or you're going to be carried away. Goodbye, old friend. Because Jake the Snake Roberts is very aware and connected with the Rhodes family, especially Dustin. So with that being said, we have these 2 matches coming off Now, Dustin versus Lance and Cody versus Darby. I still find it rather shocking that Dustin, who said he put his career on the line, that was the difference maker, I feel like, and Brandy with the spear, as he did beat Kip Sabian. So, Mike, give me your thoughts on Dustin versus Kip last week, and who do you feel right now is going in with more momentum in this coming match, Lance Archer or Dustin?
I would definitely have to say that I think Lance Archer's coming in with more momentum. I mean, he's running through everybody, and even people that don't need to be run through, he's running through. And as for Dustin and Kip, I thought they had a pretty good match, and I think Dustin can still really go in the ring. So I'm glad he didn't retire there. I think he's got a lot of good matches left, and I mean, being what is he, 50 now or something close to that?
51, I believe, correct.
51, yeah. I mean, he's still doing incredible for his age, and I'd like to see him stick around for some good feuds.
3 decades in the business. But here's the other thing we need to think about here too now as we look at the other half of the bracket. How crazy was last week's opening match between Darby and Sammy? You thought they couldn't take it a step higher, that AEW Revolution? They did. I mean, that ladder spot I thought was literally going to stop the match dead as Trash was going to be postponed. Give me your thoughts on what I believe was my match of the week last week, Darby versus Sammy. And was that match of the week last week for you?
I would say so, yeah. I mean, those guys have great chemistry together, and it wasn't their, first match together, so I think they are just. I think they're going to go several times. To be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised if they go at Double or Nothing again, And but as for that match, I think they were, super physical, and you always know you're going to get something crazy with them, especially Darby, and I can only imagine, like, if they had, like, a ladder match or something at Double or Nothing or just something crazy, because I know they'd go nuts with it, like, so many ideas for them,
Yeah,
but,
you're a fantasy book, and I can only imagine. I mean, we saw how far Darby was willing to go to make sure he would win against Sammy again because he wants to get to Cody, when Sammy became a 1-foot wrestler and still fought through all that anniversary, but just couldn't take it anymore after, of course, Darby Allin won with his Last Supper into non-submission, but a pinfall victory, a very unique finish. So, yeah, now we have Darby versus Cody. Excuse me, botch. I might have botched, man. Cody, number 3. The draw, the win, and Cody. Arn won't be out there one-on-one. Is this Darby's defining moment? Is this finally where Cody literally finds out who he is to himself? What are your thoughts going into Cody versus Darby Allin 3?
Well, like, I think they've had a great series of matches so far, and I feel like Darby's due for the big victory. I really think he's going to upset Cody, but then it's kind of asking the question: does he go on to lose to Lance Archer, if that's the way that goes, or does he beat Archer? Because that's a hell of a story if that's the way it goes too. But I think he's going to beat Cody because he's. I think Cody's just going to put him over, like that's.
Well,
Finally.
as AEW tries to do is tries to put over the future. That's why Kenny Omega, he went the distance last week with independent talent. Angel, apologies, folks, I don't remember his last name. And a lot of people were bashing that match because Kenny Omega could have beat this guy so quickly. Oh, this guy, he kicked out of the V-trigger. Yeah, he did, but the second time, not so much. What was your thoughts, by the way, on that enhancement match between Kenny Omega and that independent star? In my opinion, Kenny Omega, he really knows how to sell somebody and put them over in the ring. I was really impressed.
I was too. I think that's the thing, is Omega's putting people over, and I think there's a big section of the fan base that just doesn't get that. I think, like, Omega's going to be just fine. Like, he's not hurting. Like, I mean, he's going to win the title eventually. Hell, he might even beat Moxley in the future for it. Because, but I think that's just it makes me like Omega more because he's putting over talent, and he doesn't have to do that. He really doesn't. But he's doing it.
I feel like there's a point in every wrestler where if you truly are, a human being, you don't put yourself at the front, you put others. I mean, let's think about it. Kenny Omega, he's done everything possible, been in the ring with a who's who of the business, probably everybody. The only match that people want at this point that they believe they are never going to see but want to see is Kenny Omega versus AJ Styles. because AJ Styles,
Yeah.
Kenny Omega's word, is the reason Kenny Omega decided to continue wrestling. At one point, Kenny Omega, he might not have even existed was it for AJ Styles, and I cannot say enough for AJ Styles and his work on the business. But yeah, I really enjoyed that match. And then Kenny Omega, of course, won half the AEW Tag Team Champions, and we have to figure about who could challenge these guys next, which is why now I'm going to talk about two key teams. We already talked about one. Let's talk about the other, the Dark Order. So Brodie Lee, right? He's their leader. He's trying to bring them up, okay? And they have their own like credo now. We are the Preds. Everyone else is the prey. What we want, we will take. And apparently, AEW is not the only one recruiting. The Dark Order, Brodie Lee, he is too. As apparently he recruited independent star, I believe Cody Vance, my good friend, shout out to Indie Queen CDG, informed me of. So we have to see when this guy will come into play, and we have to see really where this is going. But before I talk any more about Brodie Lee and stuff, give me your thoughts on Brodie Lee and what do you think so far of his creative direction in the Dark Order?
I love his creative direction. You know, and I saw that it was based off the character Negan in The Walking Dead, which I'm just now getting around to watching. So I'm at that point, and now I can really see where those two like mesh. Like I could even see the words that he used in like his very first promo debut. You know, and so I'm really digging the character. I hope he gets a little more like savage because I think will be good for his. You know, I think this should be a very dark group. Like I'd like it to be like the Ministry was really dark. You know, and I'd like them to go pretty darker because if you don't, it might get cheesy, and you don't want it to get cheesy. But you know, I think Brodie Lee has a vision, and I think they're going to let him execute that, and I'll be excited to see what it is. You know.
Well, we kind of get an idea where he's going to go next. As last week, Brodie Lee once again squashed somebody as Jericho put over. He just broke that guy in half. As once again, Brodie Lee, he set an example and crushed, I believe, the captain with, of course,
John
that
Cena. Yeah.
discus clothesline. But then he gives a subtle stare down to one Marco Stunt. And apparently, Marco Stunt didn't get squashed by one giant. He's going to get squashed by another. Mike, I gotta ask you, this whole idea of using Marco's stunt to set an example about how powerful these big guys are, in my opinion, it's the only thing I can really think of. What else do you see coming out potentially in Brodie Lee versus Marco Stunt? Are we trying to set up a feud with the Dark Order versus Jurassic Express, even though they can't come in? Because clearly, if Luchasaurus was there, that'd be a match I want to see. I feel like, in my opinion, the big dudes that AEW does have, they should focus on really pushing them with other big dudes. It wasn't until Lance Archer beat Colt Cabana where I feel like he really could be taken more seriously. I thought the fact he squashed Marco Stunt like a kid was kind of a little ridiculous. What's your thoughts on the idea of the way Marco Stunt's being used? And do you think Brodie Lee should face somebody after him like Colt Cabana or Lance Archer? Like, who would you put Brodie Lee in the ring with?
Well, okay, so I'll put this into two statements here.
Please do.
I would put Brodie Lee to face Christopher Daniels at Double or Nothing because I think they never touched on that after that, you know. So I think obviously it's because they're stuck in California, I believe.
Correct.
But if they can get to Double or Nothing, I think that's the match we're going to get is Brodie Lee versus Christopher Daniels, and I think that'll be a good match. And you know, Brodie will go over probably. But then as far as Marco, like I kind of think of it like, you know, like it's the ultimate squash, but it's great for Marco too because like he comes out of it looking really tough, you know, like he just keeps coming back for more. So like I think he's kind of becoming more popular amongst the fans. Or he's getting there. It's, you know, as is the whole Jurassic Express, you know. But I don't know. I don't mind it. You know, if Marco's willing to take the beatings like that, then you know, like because it's gonna make Brodie look great, you know, and especially if Brodie does something like really sadistic to him or something, you know, like why would you do that? You know, like I mean, there I go fantasy booking again, you know.
Well, I mean, again, that's kind of the idea of AEW with the fact they're unscripted. It's free form. You want to get to this point. It's up to you how you get to this point. And I kind of like where you're going with that. But I mean, if Brodie Lee somehow tries to counteract Brodie Lee and you actually give him like some offense here, I feel like that might subtly hurt Brodie Lee's character. Because again, Brodie Lee is supposed to be this omnipotent, dominant, destructive factor. Lead by example. Imagine if Marco Stunt somehow gets some sort of move off of Brodie Lee. Next thing you know, it'll be like, oh, look, Brodie Lee is vulnerable. So I just feel like there's some sort of a warning to take with this character direction of Brodie Lee, especially up against Marco Stunt, because clearly everyone's going to see Brodie Lee winning this. but how far do you push this match? Do you give Marco Stunt any chance in hell against Brodie Lee?
Well, you think about, Marco got a little bit of offense in against Lance Archer, but the final result was him getting like destroyed over the ring,
and then
so,
into the audience.
Yeah, I think if Brodie does something like that and he finishes the match very strong, and makes a statement, I think he'll be okay. But I don't think Marco's going to get too much offense in.
Turn clothesline inside out, make him flip in the air like 3 times, and then let's really see how people react to that. Like, oh my gosh, he killed it.
Can you imagine that clothesline that he'll do on him? That'd be nuts.
I just hope that Marco Stunt leaves his chin down. Otherwise, yeah, he could probably crush his larynx with the size of his arm being
poor guy.
And we also need to see if eventually this new recruit makes a subtle appearance now that he signed with the Dark Order. Is Brodie going to call him out and then maybe do an aftermath type thing with show me something, here's your opportunity, here's Marco Stunt, and then he makes his debut and crushes this guy. So again, there is some subtle multi-threads here being built, but I'm also thinking about the fact that the Dark Order is still #1 in the rankings, and we have to figure out what to be next for the tag team champions. With the Best Friends getting the most TV time because they've been there, and the fact that they are still in the #3 spot, I still feel like Best Friends is your next suitable challenger for the tag team champions, unless something happens in this match where all of a sudden you have Kip and Havoc now talked about towards the top picture, because last week's rankings was significantly changed based on who won and who was in action. While Hager was #1, he dropped all the way down to #5. And now you have Cody as #1. But again, due to that stipulation, he cannot challenge for the AEW World Championship. His words. But Moxley's like, screw that. You feel you're good enough? Come and challenge me. So we also know Jon Moxley's going to be coming out this week and basically telling us what's next after his incredible win over Hager in that empty arena, no-holds-barred match. We got subtle hints of MJF saying that I hurt myself while gambling. Ladies and gentlemen, this is proof. Be smart. Don't gamble unless you're gambling cautiously. Freaking Hangman. I love it. But basically, I keep thinking MJF is the next guy to challenge Jon Moxley because he has the most momentum. He's made Cody's life a living hell. He's backed up everything he said, but I guess he's injured. And now you have Wardlow, who's on a tirade of his own path of destruction as a singles competitor, as he once again squashed somebody last week. So I kind of want to get your thoughts on this. Jon Moxley, he's going to come out and speak. Do you see anybody coming out, interrupting him, calling him out for the title, or do you see Moxley calling out somebody to challenge him? Like somebody got maybe under his skin, or somebody Moxley wants to pay. What do you expect to see from the Jon Moxley segment or from Jon Moxley's words? What do you expect?
I think he's going to come out and probably issue an open challenge or something, I mean, but I'm kind of thinking they could be going towards MJF coming for the title. I mean, he's probably really, I don't know if he's hurt or not, but it is hard to tell. I remember he had a match with Mance Warner in MLW, and it was an empty arena, loser leaves MLW match, and Mance Warner threw MJF down some metal bleachers, and I think that might have messed him up, there's no way it didn't hurt,
Yeah, I don't know how you
just tumbled right down him, the metal edges and everything like this, and then he landed on concrete, and I'm just wondering if he got hurt.
Unforgiving.
Which is completely possible, but with him it's so hard to tell, and that's kind of refreshing because it's nice to not be able to tell. I like people that make me think. But yeah.
The MJF comes out of nowhere and hits Moxley with a crutch and declares himself the #1 contender to challenge for the title, even though he's nowhere on the rankings. You got Kenny Omega as #2, Darby Allin as #3, Lance Archer as #4, Cody again as #1. Cody can't challenge. Omega's not in action right now, but Omega, he probably wants to get revenge against Moxley, even a non-title, for the fact that Moxley beat him through a barbed wire spider web /exposed wood paradigm shift back at full gear. Mark, you're freaking lucky. And then, of course, Darby Allin, based on the results of his match with Cody, could he potentially go on a tirade going after the top title if he's not going after the TNT title? Because we got to figure about this. We might be getting a rematch of PWI's match of the year from last year. Can it hold up to that same circumstance should that match actually happen? Mike, I got to ask you, because again, based on tomorrow's events, we know who's going to fight for the title at Double or Nothing. This will determine the finals. What do you want your finals to be? Do you want to see Cody versus Dustin too?
I would love to see that at Double or Nothing. I think that's a great story. I don't think that's what we're going to get, though. I still think Darby's going to get his win against Cody, and I think Archer's going to beat Dustin. And then that could still open the door for Dustin versus Cody if they wanted to do it again, but it'd be a short build. But I mean, but yeah, I think we're gonna get Archer versus Darby, and I think Archer probably goes over Darby. But I would love for Darby to win because I think he absolutely deserves it, and I think he would. The TNT title would be great for him. Does it hurt Archer to lose that match, or can he recover from it, or maybe he destroys Darby after the match? I don't know.
Well, yeah, it's one of those things where you look at how far do you take an undefeated streak? Because again, Archer, he is undefeated. He's 3-0. If he goes for this tournament, he's 5-0. In a way of story conjunction, continuality, he wants this the most, he's going to get it. And he might beat Cody over for it. But if your situation happens and somehow Darby pulls out the miraculous win against Cody, and we somehow get Cody versus Archer, because I gotta be honest with you right now, I feel like there's no way Lance is losing to Dustin, because I feel like Dustin's going to be used as an example of Cody. Here's what I'm going to do to you. / on the Murder Hawk. Everybody dies. I expect blood. Well, probably just the red face paint. I expect Lance Archer to destroy Dustin with a blackout. And now it comes down to who do you see Lance facing the finals, Cody or Darby? Darby versus Lance would be an incredible first. But then you have that storyline where, again, Lance, does he want that? Because Lance wants Cody. So in a way, you kind of wonder if Lance and Jake are rooting for Cody to beat Darby. They're not going to involve themselves in their match, because right now, AEW, they're not doing like necessarily screw finishes. Although some people would say Brandy spearing Penelope Ford, allowing Kip to get rolled up by Dustin, might have been a screw finish in itself. And who knows? Maybe we're building towards. I'm just saying, maybe we're building towards Brandy versus Penelope Ford, because as of right now, there's no women's action on this card announced. And Brandy has not had a match in months. She's basically just been like a support now as part of the Nightmare family, / Natural Nightmares tag team, etc., etc., etc. As the road to Dynamite also discussed, Dustin said he would love it to have Brandy on his corner. So imagine Brandy ratting all this. And Brandy even said, Cody versus Dustin would be her worst nightmare. Pun intended, I said.
Yeah.
So, I mean, because again, she would not know who to go with. She loves Dustin, but she's friggin' married to Cody. So, this finale is very unpredictable, but I just feel like right now, based on story conjunction, it should conclude with Cody versus Lance, because I feel like no matter what, Darby, he's going to do what he wants to do to define himself. It's like he says, he doesn't even treat basically this like a special opportunity, okay? He calls a lot of these young boys in the back kiss asses, because it's like, oh, I get to be here in AEW. I get to face this guy. I get to work under this guy. He talked about how there was that initial shock appeal at Fyter Fest because AEW was the biggest form ever fought under. Nobody knew who he was. Well, a few people did. And that's basically where he made his name, in that 20-minute draw. Some friends that we know personally became fans of AEW because of that match, or Darby Allin himself, Christopher Mason included. Shout out to the Holiday. Take care of providing essential services. But I don't know. And obviously, I'm not going to close the TNT Championship. I will talk about that next week, Spark. But as far as these matches goes, something in my mind is telling me somehow, somewhere, we're finally going to get that story. And I just feel like, as much as I kind of don't want to say it, I feel like it's going to be Cody versus Lance at Double or Nothing for the title. Because honestly, that's the driving story of this whole thing. Lance wants Cody, and Cody feels like without this title, who is he? He's lost on every other opportunity. His life has been a nightmare. So, I mean, I feel like it has to at least go to that. Now, as far as who's going to win that, we'll save that for next week. But there is one more thing.
We'll see.
Yeah, but there is one more thing happening on this week. But let's go back and discuss a little bit of last week's fun, because as you know, AEW Dynamite packed so much in 2 hours. There was a lot to think about. As again, there is another backstory still in All Elite Wrestling, and I'm not just talking about the fact that Chris Jericho's providing commentary moments like Pineapple Pete and He Likes Shiny Things. I love the duo, by the way, of Jericho and Tony Schiavone. I think that's been one of the best things to come out of this whole situation.
Jericho is gold, every time, and I even like Cody on there too. I think they're both really good.
he has a
on the
subtle
commentary.
delivery. Yeah, Cody's very subtle and slow in his delivery, though. I've noticed.
Very
Very
smart
quiet, too.
though.
But I
But
mean,
I
yeah.
mean, I miss Jim Ross though too. You know, of course you can't replace Jim Ross. I just bought his book.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, under the yeah,
Nice. Yeah, we
yeah,
support you,
yeah.
brother. Great to
Even
see you.
like signed and everything.
Yeah, I
Pretty
saw
cool.
on Instagram signing copies and stuff like that. Still need to finish reading that. That man's been through so much. I'm just glad he's in such a great place right now. And yeah, I do miss here,
I
especially
know.
Jared's commentary. But the threesome of Excalibur, Tony, and JR, they're very good too. But what they have
Of
on
course.
hand, this duo, I think has been working very well. And Jericho, who seems to get into all the matches, but still defines privately he hates everybody outside the inner circle. I think that's rather funny. Speaking of inner circle, let's talk about Damascus and Matt Hardy because it seems like Damascus, he's there to delete the inner circle. But Matt Hardy, he basically wants Jericho to come to the Hardy compound, face him one-on-one, because that's who you're familiar with. But then Damascus comes back and says, Sammy Guevara is another one of the inner circle and is very dangerous, but has very promising future ahead of him. So basically, it seems like Matt Hardy's challenging Jericho, and Damascus is now challenging Sammy G to come to the Hardy compound for some sort of match. I guess some sort of
I thought that was going to be on Dynamite or something. I think
yeah, but
Guevara and Hardy.
to be yeah, would you like to see Matt Hardy, keyword Matt Hardy, actually wrestle on Dynamite against Sammy Guevara?
Um, yeah, I would enjoy that, but I'm curious how they book it. You know, like does Matt Hardy lose to Guevara, or does Guevara take another loss? You know, like I think Guevara is a rising star, so it's kind of like Darby. They want to protect him, but
Right.
it's also like Hardy's debuting, so you don't want him to lose either. But I've become a big fan of kind of looking at the records and trying to analyze what they're going to do next, and I guess I kind of take the fun out of being. It's sometimes you just got to be a fan and enjoy it, you know, and
Yeah,
I got to remind
exactly.
myself that, you know, but sometimes it's hard to do that, you know. But I've
Well,
noticed
the
they
thing
do
about
float around, you know, keeping certain guys at like 50-50 for the
yeah, and that's the
record and
thing when it
stuff,
comes
you
to
know.
ranking. Very dangerous system of control because the more that gets tilted off to one side, you might lose support in this wrestler, or you might root for
Mm.
them more. Again, look how much the men's ranking changed this week. Literally, Jericho is wiped off, and the newcomer in Lance Archer, he's now in freaking Omega spot. Omega, he bumped up to number 2, while Hager's down number 5, and Cody is number 1. It's amazing how the rankings have really
Yeah.
changed week by week. And again, I know in the circumstances they're working with limited people. Now everyone's there. Now everyone is competing. But that is a driving factor. Not the only factor, but right now it is one of the biggest
Mm-hmm.
driving factors in these rankings. But yeah,
Yeah.
as far as Matt Hardy wrestling in AEW, do you want Matt Hardy to wrestle? Do you want Damascus to wrestle? Do you want Matt Hardy and Damascus to wrestle? Is that 2 separate records? Does it all count as one? See what I'm thinking about here? There's a lot of
Yeah, those are.
dimension.
I don't have answers for those questions really, but I would like to see them both wrestle, and I think you're going to get a couple different variations of Matt Hardy, you know,
Oh
as
yeah.
different characters, and that'll be fun, you know. Like it, I love seeing like these guys have like the creative freedom to do what they want, you know, because it's just like you could tell. Even I mean, obviously, it'd be more fun with a crowd, but even without a crowd, they're still very passionate about what they do,
Right.
you know, and I think you get a lot of that from Matt Hardy. So I think he'll put on some really good matches, and he even said in his interview with Jericho that he thinks he's got 2 or 3 really good years
Right.
in him still, and he wants to really give it his all. And you know, I mean, I think if a guy the age of Dustin Rhodes can do it, then I think Matt Hardy can too. You know,
With
he
how
may have to
much
adjust his
creative
style, but
well, yeah, but I mean, again, that's a key point too, because again, AEW just wants to bring the fun to the fans like we're there. And that's why I like, especially when they try and still have like a crowd vibe with one side being heels,
mm-hmm.
one side being face, even if they are kind of outnumbered. But it
I
also
can
like changes
appreciate that.
throughout the
Yeah.
show. They also change throughout the show based on like who's
Mm-hmm.
competing in the ring. Sometimes independent talent even change in and out. And I like that because it does give more of an organic vibe. Though Austin Gunn's clearly the loudest fan there every week. Good grief.
They tie
Just saying.
stories into it too. You know, I mean, and I like that they tie stories into it, like with Sheeta and Britt Baker.
Yes.
And you know, like I think they're doing something with the Gun Club. I don't know what yet, but I'm sure they're going to be doing something. I think that's. I had a lot of fun seeing them out there, and the time when MJF and Shawn Spears were out there, that was a lot of fun because MJF is
Gambling and drinking
hilarious.
wine.
They would make a great tag team. I think one day they are going to be a tag team, and they have a chemistry together.
Yeah, I mean, search for Spears. I feel like that search is kind of already answered for. But you do bring up an interesting point bringing up Karashida. Let's suddenly talk about the women's division here. As right now, the driving factors with the women's division is this whole idea of who's going to challenge the champ, Nyla Rose, and you got Brit Baker being the role model, and the Karashida being, well, I'm just going to say it right now, the number one, the overall, the one I believe right now that's going to challenge the champion. Mm-hmm. I would not mind seeing her as the next champion because she is just that damn good. But now this is all a side story. We leave Bates is looking for Hikaru Shida's stick, kendo stick, whatever sort of lineage or type of thing goes on with that. So I have to ask, do you think that this whole missing stick story idea is to try to introduce someone new to the AEW's women's division? I thought at first it was Brit Baker just messing around. She's going to pull it out from under the ring and whack Shida with it. But we didn't get that. Instead, we got an incredible women's match 2 weeks ago, and Brit Baker, who became the top heel on her own with the help of Tony Schiavone, as discussed on Talk is Jericho. She gave Karashida one hell of a fight and got a number one selling shit out too, and bled for it. So I have to ask you, do you think a Karashida stick missing is a story to bring someone new into the AEW Women's Division?
Oh, we're crapping on that match. I didn't understand that.
Sorry.
You want to, okay. I think maybe Abaddon stole her katana because when I was at the show in Denver, I was there live. The dark match was versus Shida versus Abaddon. I just wonder if they're going to continue with that story a little bit because she's got quite the character.
Yeah. She follows me on Twitter. Sheesh. What a wrestler.
Yeah, if you want to call her that. Yeah. Living dead girl. Something.
Undead, dead.
But maybe that, yeah.
Look, she's not Rosemary, I'll tell you that much.
No. But I mean, I will say, on that Britt Baker versus Shida match, that was great. And I would love to see them go again. And I love how transparent Britt is in her interviews sometimes about, like, the saying Shida and like after that promo on the cruise ship, she like really, kicks some ass, I think.
Right.
I'm excited about it,
Well, I mean, she moved up. She moved up from number 5 to number 4 because her record now is 3-3 after beating Gold. Forget her name, giving her some dental work. So we'll have to wait and see what happens as far as anything women's wrestling goes. With that being said, talking about wrestlers, what are your thoughts on Scorpio Sky? This retrospective that they're doing with him, is this trying to build towards like a new singles feud? Are they trying to bring him up? Are they just trying to teach us more about him? What have been your thoughts on the Scorpio Sky video package?
It's an interesting. I think maybe he's going to end up getting a singles push here. I don't know. That's kind of what I'm thinking. But because he can always go back to SCU if they do push him for a singles run, and I think he's definitely got the in-ring talent. It's just I feel like I don't know, his character, it seems like I want to see it evolve into something, a little different,
right,
something that'll really grab my attention, like, because AEW does a really good job with characters, like I feel like, Janela, he's his own kind of character, or Darby's a character, and so on, and I just feel like Scorp has got to find that,
There's some people that still need to find their character too, but the fact that he already had a chance at the top title so early, I might add, in AEW's incarnation, it kind of makes me wonder, how do you reset a singles run from here? And of all people to pick an AEW, like, is this going to be like a continuing thing? You're going to tell us more about each wrestler? Because right now they just tell us how Scorpio Sky, he found himself in professional wrestling. But for a moment, it seemed like it wasn't even going to start up again after a back injury, and he was questioning whether or not he should continue to be a wrestler. He said himself, did a lot of soul searching, went back to talk to his mother from beyond the grave. And then he said, I'm going to try this. I'm going to roll with it. And next thing you know, he's made it his own with SCU, multiple title wins, tag titles, I might add, and even challenging for the AEW Championship. And the fans are getting behind him. So, yeah. I
like that they pull emotion into the stories, like that's a good thing, like with his mom.
It brings us. It tries to make it connect with us, not only as fans but as people. So I'm curious to see what part 2 will bring on the grind miracle / professional wrestling upbringing of one Scorpio Sky. I gotta imagine next will be how he came to be part of SCU, who's all about wrestling, dominance, California, and fun.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of fun, I got 2 words for you. Bubbly bunch. Now I got a question for you. What the hell is a flim flam? Is this a TikTok thing? Is this actually a thing? People help me here. I'm out of touch with reality. I don't have a TikTok account, and don't ask me to build one because I'm not going to. My friend Big G has one. He danced to Men in Black that I can respect because I like Men in Black, that song. But give me your thoughts on, that's the thing about AEW. It's not just wrestling. It's entertainment, but it's not PG-13. What was
No,
your thoughts on Bubbly Bunch episode 2?
I gotta say, I'm wearing a Chris Jericho shirt. You know,
Yes,
it's
you are.
the Judas shirt. You know, I am a big Jericho fan. The Bubbly Bunch is it's, you know, it's a funny parody on the Brady Bunch, but I mean, like, what I like about AEW is that, you know, like, they're willing to just have fun at times, but like it's not like stupid fun, but like some of the best wrestling has been funny moments. You know, like there's been, you know, you think back to like Angle and Austin when he was singing to him with the guitar and stuff. It's just, you know, stupid stuff like that, you know, and I love stuff like that. Like Omega and Cabana on Dark, that's hilarious. Their whole back and forth thing. And
I'm gonna get you, Colt, on BTE. No, you never know what Colt Cabana's gonna show up. He always shows up.
And maybe we get that at Double or Nothing, Omega versus Colt, because they would kill it. I think they'd have a damn good match.
That'd be entertaining. Yeah,
because they're building
Colt
something.
Cabana since his match with Archer either. So
right. Well, it's selling.
Okay, so let me ask you this: did you think Sammy Guevara deserved to win the Flim Flam and the hand sanitizer?
I guess so. I don't know. I'm not surprised. You know, like, I mean, I think Sammy's going to be a huge star, so I think they're just, it's a win for him. You know,
he's certainly the most egotistical and full of himself. Literally a younger Jericho. Enjoy your hand sanitizer, Sammy. Just threw the phone.
I can see the Eddie in him too. Like, people, I can see a little Eddie in him too. I think Sammy's going to.
He's got that subtle charm to him too, but he's also got that attitude. So
and he's such a baby too, you know. Like, he's got so far to, he's got so many years ahead of, you know. Like, I mean, same with Darby and Janela and you know, like, yeah.
Speaking of young people / up and comers, I did not expect this guy to get a freaking win, and hence what we're going to talk about the main event too, as this no DQ, no count out tag team match between the Best Friends and the tandem of Jimmy Havoc and Kip Sabian with Ford is coming off the fact that Orange Cassidy of the Best Friends got a win off of Jimmy Havoc last week after Penelope Ford tried to come into play. And at one point, literally got dragged off the apron. Well, not off the apron, onto the apron, forming a perfect split. I'm going to say right now, she does the splits better than Melina. Anyway, but that's not the point. She tried to go for the Rana. Later on in the match, nearly gets Jimmy Havoc like, no, hold on. Gets out of the ring. Bunch of kerfuffle happens. And next thing you know, somehow, and by the way, Orange Cassidy, that Superman punch, nah. But anyway, a roll-up win for Orange Cassidy over Jimmy Havoc gives him his first win in his Dynamite debut. Keyword, Dynamite debut.
Mm-hmm.
And then he gets flash forward, and then we learn the Best Friends are angry, so now we have this no DQ, no count-out match. Now, clearly it's 2-on-2, but you know Ford and Orange are both going to be there, both going to come into play. Orange and women in AEW have not had the best record. He first got kicked in the balls by the bunny, Allie. Hey, Allie. And Ford right now has been the difference maker when it comes to Kip Sabian's side. But can Orange Cassidy be the difference maker against Ford this time? What is your expectations out of this tag match, and which team you see going over? Keep in mind, Best Friends are ranked number 3 right now with, well, clearly after dark, they're going to be 5-3. But you got to imagine if they lose, they're going to drop down a little bit after this week. Right. What are your expectations out of this match?
You know, with Jimmy getting the win he did on Dark, I think he moves to 4-2, so he's actually having a really good time. And 4-2 in 2020.
Right.
But I think the Best Friends are going to go over on Jimmy and Kip Sabian. I mean, I think that's kind of where I look at the records and I try to think, well, how are they going to balance this out? Because I think a lot of times, with the exception of a few wrestlers, it's a balanced system, which is good because I think it gives them kind of a checks and balances on themselves. Like, it forces them to ask themselves, am I booking this guy correctly according to his record, or, yeah, I think it gets tricky, but I think it's,
I agree.
good that it's different and it's worth a try, I think. But I think this match is replacing the parking lot brawl we were supposed to have.
Correct, because a few weeks ago they were originally feuding with Lucha Bros, and they never got their match in the parking lot brawl. Another match that never happened, ironically, was Luchasaurus versus Wardlow in the lumberjack match. Again, plans subject to change. They're working with the limited roster. It makes me wonder if those plans will pick up again once this whole conundrum's over. Because nothing lasts forever. Even this has to blow over eventually.
Maybe a double or nothing, I mean, I think double or nothing is a good place for, if they can get the guys out there, there's a good chance.
The thing is, though, like I said, we have no idea what Double or Nothing is going to be like, where it might be. We got some idea where it might be. And we also have no idea what's going to happen there. Now, clearly, they're going to have the championship match. If nothing else, we're going to have women's, we're going to have a world title, and we're going to have a tag team match. It's just a matter of who's it going to be. And as far as
well, maybe women's, I don't know. We haven't seen them. I haven't seen Nyla Rose in forever.
Well, she was on the road to last week as they reached out to her via video, and she did subtly tease, maybe I'll break this whole stigma, come in there and prove why I am your women's champion. It's not a crazy idea to rule out the idea that Nyla Rose somehow bursts on the scene on Dynamite, because again, Tony Khan stated this is going to be like the craziest Dynamite or most wild one to date. And by the way, he reached out to me on Twitter after I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be a draw. Oh, there's no count. There's no time limits in these tournament matches." So, again, nothing else is mentioned. So we have no idea what else is going to happen. And I have to imagine that Nyla Rose has been watching both Brit Baker and Hikaru Shida. It would not surprise me, as Gary put it, if we get a triple threat match at Double or Nothing. With that being said, think about who else has been involved on Dynamite and what else might happen this week. I keep thinking about this Shawn Spears, like you said, Shirts for Spears. Something tells me Shawn Spears is going to be involved at ringside as well, probably during the tag match. Maybe he might be looking for a partner out of the Best Friends, because right now I feel like Trent he really is branching out beyond. I feel like he's the better in-ring wrestler than Chucky Taylor. And maybe
I think so.
Shawn Spears has been noticing that and might want to recruit him. That will build a solid side story. Maybe build a singles match, Double or Nothing, between Shawn Spears and Trent. With that being said, Mike, is there anything else you can imagine happening this week on Dynamite that they haven't announced yet, based on what we have seen in the previous weeks?
Right. I think you might get an appearance from Brit Baker at some point.
Okay.
I wouldn't be too surprised if she shows up. Her stuff with Tony was really good, so I wouldn't be surprised if they picked that back up. And I think we're just going to see a really crazy episode. I think it's going to be really good. I did see that, like you said, Tony Khan was kind of touting that, like he thinks this might be the best episode in a long time, or like the best episode of wrestling in a long time, is I think what he said.
Keyword, wrestling, not Twisted Teeth.
Not just AEW, yeah, like wrestling in general, So like he's touting it pretty high, which I can appreciate that. I'll definitely be watching. I mean, that's 2 hours of TV that I really enjoy, and I don't have to think about anything else, and they make it entertaining. That's, they've done a really good job with the fans.
Yeah, well, Wednesday night, though, they try and bring us in, like I said, with the audience vibe, these interactive activities, and all this type of other stuff, and this talk on the forums, etc. Yep. And thank you for being a friend, and Instagram and the Slamos. But yeah, the fact that he said wrestling and AEW, it is wrestling, but also it's entertainment. They bring a little bit of everything. It's like some episodes of Dynamite, they focus on a different stuff. Is it story building? Is it character development? Is it video promoing? Is it wrestling? Is there a balance of everything? Last week was a little bit of everything. But this week seems more heavily driven by wrestling. The fact you have the 2 semifinal matches of the TNT tournament, this wild tag team match, and Brodie Lee, he's going to have fun squash with Marco Stunt. I wouldn't surprise me if that opens the show, personally. I feel like that should open the show.
Probably.
That's my opinion. Yeah. And then, of course, you have Moxley who's going to speak. Now, the question is he going to speak from there, or is he going to speak from video? And then someone's going to be like, oh, I could challenge him. And Jericho's going to be like, hey, I still want that title back. I might go after it again, even though he's completely wiped off the rankings. And like I said, I feel like the key factor right now, I'm going with you. I feel like it has to be MJF. Challenge. It would not surprise me if MJF literally calls Jon Moxley during his video like, hey, what's up, champ? I saw your match against Jake Hager. That was an incredible match. His charm, appreciation. and then he disses you and tells you, I'm better than you, and you know it, I'm going to take that title from you. Now, the question I have with that, though, will Wardlow come back into play? Because right now, Wardlow, he seems to be a driving force on his own. Are they going to keep Wardlow MJF as a unit, or is Wardlow going to finally go on his warpath? Or is there a bigger plan here? Is MJF using Wardlow to get to the champ? Is Wardlow going to come out and attack Jon Moxley?
Well, Cody planted those seeds earlier that, MJF was kind of using Wardlow. So I think eventually they're going to separate. They're going to go their separate ways. I think Wardlow's got a ton of potential too. I think he'll be fine. But I could see MJF and Moxley too. I don't think I think it puts MJF in a big spotlight too. It's a big match for him. And I don't think MJF wins it, but I think him and Mox will have a really good match. And MJF showed against Cody that he could take a beating.
And sell.
And sell, yeah. And so I have no doubt, Mox would beat the crap out of MJF, but they'd have a good match,
Yeah, and then again, I just keep thinking about the women's division. Hikaru Shida being number one. We're not surprised that she was in the audience during this show again. And we have the continued story of Brit Baker. Still surprised Brit Baker don't have her stick. And I still feel like that stick's going to come back into play in this story somehow.
Mm-hmm.
It would not surprise me, actually, now that I think about it. Maybe now that Rose has the stick, she comes out with it and whacks Shida with it, even though she beat Shida formally in a tag match. Again, I feel like that sticks a driving factor in continuing a storyline or introducing someone new to the women's division. But who would you bring into the women's division now is the question. If you could think of somebody to bring into the AEW women's division, Mike, who would it be?
Well, I think outside of AEW right now, I think I saw that, was it Deanna Perrazzo that said she wanted to come over to AEW? She just got released by NXT.
Yes, along with so many others.
Best friends with Brit Baker, I guess. So I'm wondering if maybe Brit will have some pull to get her in or something. But I'd love to see Priscilla Kelly used a little more on TV. I think I love her character. I think it's something they could really work with too. And then outside of that, there's always people in WWE who'd love to see come over, but I think a lot of those aren't realistic.
Well, a few of them might be. So why don't we go ahead and spark a little conversation about that? Because, they released 40% of their overall workforce, not just wrestlers, but producers, coaches,
right, staff, and everything, yeah.
So Sarah Del Rey, again, I think will be a tremendous pickup of women's division as far as training and experience goes. I know Omega and Brandy, they work heavily with the women's division, but I feel like they need some sort of real driving force to help groom this women's division in and out of the ring. More so in the ring, though, too. Though I have seen incredible improvement by the likes of Brit Baker, for example. I feel like Hikaru Shida, she helps make them better in the ring.
She's really good in the ring.
Needs a coach, a real coach. So I would not mind seeing Sarah Del Rey up here, or even Fit Finlay, who had major influence in the women's division in WWE. But there is one. There are a few people I want to talk about from WWE that apparently have been subtly teased, but I feel like could really work in AEW. So I'm just going to say it right now. Your thoughts on the idea of Zack Ryder being in AEW?
I never really got into Zack Ryder's character too much, so,
Long Island, I see.
As a changing character, I'd like to see a different character out of him, but I'm not quite sure what. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up showing up though, because his relationship with Cody,
right?
And there's a couple other guys I'm sure we'll see they're bullshit. Yeah. So dude, you know about the women, I was thinking I'd love to see a Sasha Banks go over.
I don't think she's been released yet.
They have anybody that can cut a promo like her.
Well, again, she's my favorite of the four horsewomen.
No, she hasn't, but I think she'd be. Yeah, or if you can get I'll be curious where Tessa Blanchard goes after all this.
But she's still in Impact Wrestling, I believe, and I believe she's supposed to be fighting for the world title in a triple threat. They were talking about the future though of that title because I think something happened when the match got changed or something. I haven't watched it.
Yeah, I haven't watched Impact in so long, but
I try and keep up with it because I still think Impact Wrestling somewhat matters, and based on their dark history, they are trying to define themselves as their own product, and they do have a lot of great talent there. And
They
I
do
do
have great
support some of
talent,
them,
yeah.
including Tessa.
Yeah, and Sammy Callahan and others. And
Eddie Edwards,
yeah,
Willie Mack, the North, the list goes on and on. Kylie Ray, I'm so happy she found a place that she really enjoys working and her passion in wrestling. I was worried about her for a while. Apparently, we go for
yeah. I'm glad she found something that worked out better for her. Yeah.
So one more thing, I gotta, because it seemed like it was teased on freaking Being the Elite, which of course I watch every week. Are you up for the idea of Young Bucks versus whatever they're going to call themselves? Just call it what it is right now, FTR, and potentially Double or Nothing.
The Young Bucks versus the Revolt, I think that'd be great. Like I think they've been teasing it forever. For months and months. I mean, they've been teasing it. It's just a matter of when. And I think we're gonna get it, and I think it'll be really good. Like that. And there's so many fantasy booking matches there. Like you can have them feed for a while, and you can have them in some great matches. And
right.
Even the Revolt versus the Lucha Bros would be great. Because it'd be super physical. And but I do think we'll get that at Double or Nothing, the Revolt versus Lucha Bros, and that'll be good. You'll get to see some really happy wrestlers doing what they love. I mean,
and that's the thing. Everyone at AEW, they just love showing up to work once a week. They love what they do there, and a lot of people miss it. I mean, Pentagon literally tweeted out, "I miss this" with a solo arm. It's like, he's been buried,
right.
but I'm still alive, and I still want to do this, and I still want to see what the heck Death Triangle was going to lead to between what looked like the best friends. But
I'm curious if that's disbanded now or what, but I do hope to see Pentagon get a singles run in the future at some point, because I think would be an amazing world champion as a heel too. Like I just
Pentagon versus Moxley, that does sound like a wild match. But it feels like, in my opinion, they were really trying to build towards the trios division before this whole thing ruined everything.
So.
Well, I'm not going to say ruined because that's too dark. It postponed everything. But when you think about the outlook of AEW and the driving force of tag team wrestling, it would not surprise me that their next idea was a trios championship after the TNT title. I'm still under the belief, if things kind of work out, that we're going to get trios titles by fall. It would not surprise me. And it wouldn't surprise me that's a tournament for them either.
I'll be curious how they do it. I don't think they want to oversaturate the title field, but I do think they. I will give AEW this. I don't, for the last, I don't know, 10, 15 years, I really didn't enjoy tag team wrestling. Like it was just didn't enjoy it. I wasn't compelled by it, especially in WWE. It just didn't do anything for me. And AEW has done a great job of like, now I love tag team wrestling. Like I love watching the Young Bucks and Lucha Bros. Like I was at that ladder match at All Out, and that was probably like one of my favorite matches. And and they, like this, they make tag team wrestling fun though. Like they really make, like, I mean, what about the Hangman and Omega versus the Young Bucks? That match was just
insane. Match of the show for me.
That was one of the matches of the year, I think. It went 31 minutes, I think.
Wouldn't surprise me.
I mean, they killed it, and then so I think the Revival and the Young Bucks could absolutely do something.
I guess we just. It's breaking up. Sorry, folks. Technical difficulties. Skype in our company.
Great match.
I completely agree. That could be a
maybe
great
you
match.
Get a more physical.
Well, hopefully they never do that ladder
stuff.
stuff.
I think that would be
even their wives.
Really said going towards a more physical.
Yeah, Yama said don't ever do that again. I don't know if they ever want to. And then of course we saw Being the Elite episode 200, the fun little match between Matt and Nick Jackson. Okay, now I feel like I'm really ready. Even though I lost, darn it, I was wrong. Matt won. I thought that was fun too. Again, they just love bringing in fun to wrestling, and they're all about wrestling. So good on them. But
well, given what they said,
yeah,
I have a hard time believing that you won't get another ladder match at some point. It
wouldn't surprise me.
They're gonna want something. They're gonna want to top it.
Oh, well, top it. Oh, Jesus. I don't know how you top it after the crazy madness that would kill a normal person.
I bet they have ideas.
Oh, I'm sure they have some sort of ideas. They're probably thinking about ideas right now. Again, Omega, the Young Bucks, none of them are in action. But remember, they're all EVPs. So they're constantly in communication with Tony Khan, with Jericho. And Tony Khan, of course, has 25 years, apparently, of backlog written wrestling ideas of his own mind. who knows what the heck else AEW is going to try and do. But with that being said, we're just going to have to wait and see until tomorrow. Bottom line is this. Tomorrow, we will find out who will be in the finale to crown the first ever TNT champion at Double or Nothing after tomorrow's matches. And maybe we'll find out who will challenge the tag team champions next when it comes to best friends or this new tandem. And who knows? Maybe, like you said, we'll get rule number 2 from Brit Baker, or maybe we'll learn more about where Hikaru Shida's kendo stick is, or whatever the hell that thing is. Staff, blah, 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 blah. By the way, one of the best Instagrams to follow. Such a
yeah. She does great.
I love Hikaru Shida. She's been my favorite signee since the first time I saw her in AEW. And I only knew a little bit of her from Joshi Pro Wrestling, but boy, as a wrestler, not only as a wrestler, but as a person, Hikaru Shida, she shines. But with that being
super
said,
physical too.
100%. And again, she gets that thing out of her hair, it turns into a fight. And you know that she's going to push you to your limit. You better do the same thing to her, kind of like Abaddon did. But I digress.
Yeah.
With that being said, I think that's a good way to close off this edition of AEWspark. So, folks, we hope you are excited for tomorrow's AEW Dynamite. Thank you for all who continue to follow the series, and thank you for all who enjoyed this discussion. Let me know your thoughts, comments, questions, fantasy bookings, expectations in the comments down below. And if you want to be a part of this, it's simple. All you need is Skype, mic, and or webcam. Love to hear from you. Love to have you part of this forum. Just message me, message this gentleman, message Mark Griffiths on All Elite Wrestling, message Gary Doe for Wrestling Discussions. Links will be down in the video description down below. Message even Sean Boley on We Want to Talk Wrestling. I'll leave the descriptions down below and the links too. Mike, this was an absolute pleasure, sir, for our first time, despite Skype being a piece of crap during some of this. Apologies, folks. Technical difficulties, sometimes out of our control. But I definitely would love to do this again with you. Is there anything you want to plug, promote, or where can people find you if they want to talk more wrestling with you?
Well, let me say thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun. I love discussing wrestling. It's something I'm very passionate about, and I'm always open to being on and discussing it. But people can find me at Michael Anthony Arts on Instagram and YouTube, and Facebook as well. And yeah, I do all kinds of art, and I do wrestling art and wildlife art and stuff. So you can check that out, and a bit of photography and stuff. I'm based out of Colorado. Yeah. So I appreciate you again for having me. Thank you.
Yeah, extreme pleasure. Thank you so much. Very very intelligent, talented individual. It was a pleasure chatting with you. And hey, maybe next time you can bring some of the AEW art with you. Maybe you could actually define your predictions with AEW art of your favorite wrestlers. I actually like to see that.
Fun.
That'd be fun. Fictionary. Fictionary. Who's my winner?
Yeah.
Yes.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
All right.
Sure.
And with that being said, folks, you want to know more about me? Know this. I'm just a simple man. If you haven't figured it out by now, I am just a lifelong fan of wrestling. So, nfox1916 on Instagram, NoDQ.com/Noah Chase my Twitter at the heart of my wrestling discussions, forums, and passions of all things wrestling. The 5 brands of WWE, AEW, New Japan Pro Wrestling, number 1, Ring of Honor, Stardom, the list goes on and on, NWA. It's wrestling. I'll discuss it with you. I might bring it up. Also, I have a civil YouTube channel here at youtube.com/user/NoFox210. At the heart of it is this series, AEWspark, and also my series, #205 Live Matters. Other content will be coming in the summer. I've been thinking about ways to reprogram the channel. Now that I won't be working evenings, if I have more time on my hands, I might do something as simple as a simple 7 video reviewing something in wrestling, maybe a few times a week. Stay tuned for more on that. And more stuff in NJPW as well, because I miss it. But there's a lot to watch. Maybe I'll do some simple takes and stuff. Only time will tell. There will be predictions, of course, for Double or Nothing. Maybe with him, maybe with others. Don't know. We'll have to see what time brings. I will be doing predictions as well on Money in the Bank because it's wrestling, and why not? I need something to entertain myself, even if it is 10%. And again, if you haven't figured out by now, the reason I do this, it's because my family support NoDQ. Forever indebted to them. Buy shirt, tapestry, sticker, support my friends. NoDQ.com/merch. Follow NoDQ.com on social media platforms. Your opinions matter. It's as simple as that. And as always, I'd like to close. Support your wrestling outlets, but big and small, especially independent wrestling, folks. That's at the heart of all of this. And let's keep growing this incredible, unscripted, authentic wrestling community together. Simple as that. With that being said, thank you so much again for tuning in to AEWspark. Please like, share, subscribe, comment, tell a friend. Hit the bell to know the next video is going to go live on this channel. Hit the subscribe button. Help me grow this little forum for wrestling and for wrestling fans. That's what it's all about. And if you want to be a part of this, like I said, all you need is Skype. It's as simple as that. So, For this intellectual artist right here, Michael Phillips, I am the Superman of NoDQ, Noah Foster. And as always, I hope you all take care, enjoy life. Tomorrow's never guaranteed. Treasure your families. Enjoy wrestling. There's something out there for everybody. And until next time, stay late and have a good night.
Have a good night.
Thank you again, Mike. Good night, folks.
No problem.